everybody, this is Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently read John Bellaire's The Wrath of the Grinning Ghost, which is actually the very final book in the Johnny Dixon series. It's number 12. This is also co-authored by Brad Strickland, and Mr. Strickland writes unbelievably well. He's impeccable in all of his details and how harrowing the journey is for Johnny in this particular instance with his father. And you really feel for Harrison, honestly, and you wonder if he's going to come out of it okay, because this is probably one of the more tumultuous of the books, and it has a lot of elements from the series, and it ties it all up in a very neat way, and it's absolutely terrifying as well. It's just a trip that Johnny takes to Florida, and when he's there he meets this fortune teller, and she gives him this vision that is absolutely horrifying, and it messes with his mind quite a bit. It unhinges his resolve and makes him very uneasy, which, if you've read The Wrath of the Grinning Ghost, or this, noticing the title in and of itself, is very, very dark. This is a grim book in and of itself for children. But despite that, of course, it goes back to deceit, and why deceit is not a good thing to do, or being high and mighty or holier than thou, like with Byron, Johnny's friend. He makes a big deal out of doing something he can do better. He's a big show off, and he actually ends up suffering a bit for it. Not in a bad sense of the word suffering, but it's almost like you can see what's coming, and it doesn't end well for him. And it's an object lesson for him. But I love the characters, and you can always see them interacting together, and of course there's a happy ending, but it leaves it open for more adventures in the future, if indeed such a thing exists. I don't think it does, because I looked it up. I've done a little bit of research on the Bellaire series, and I do believe that everything that has been written, or all the manuscripts that Mr. Bellaire actually penned himself and that were given to Mr. Strickland to finish, were completed works. And Johnny Dixon has 12 books in its entirety, and Louis Barnevelt has 13, I do believe, and Anthony Munday only has 4. I'm not sure why Anthony Munday's series is so short, but I only have 2 of the books out of the 4, and I have every single solitary Johnny Dixon book. As for the Barnevelt series, I don't think I own the entire Barnevelt series, although I tried my best. I did what I could. The Sign of the Three, I think the Sign of the Three was the one I couldn't find, because they are not easy to to locate, let alone purchase, because if you get one of the books, more often than not, it'll cost you, a lot of them will cost you $100. So I didn't do that. I've got the ones that were reprinted, and that saved me a ton of money, even though in the end I spent over $100 getting the whole series to own for myself, because once I read The House of the Clock at the House with the Clock at its Walls, I couldn't stop reading, and I became addicted to it. So there is something I did want to mention about these books again, and it plays through all the different mysteries that Bellairs wrote along with Strickland, but he mentions a couple of times the Voynich manuscript, and I had to look it up because I had forgotten what the Voynich manuscript was, and it's a real thing. Like in Doctor Strange, they mention the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is something I do want to read. I won't do anything with it. I just want to read it because magic is something that I respect very highly as an alchemist, so I know when I shouldn't be delving into ritualistic things, because you never, it's just like with anything of the unknown or the ether, it's just, you never know what you're going to be you never know what you will have to relinquish in order to get what you desire. That's the thing with magic. You have to be so careful. I mean, real magic, but I'm still going to read it. I'll do a review of it, and I'm not sure how big it is or how small it is, but I'm looking forward to it because it'll be the first Grimoire I've ever read. It's pseudoepigrapha, so Voynich manuscript is what's considered a codex, and it is written in an indecipherable language. So many scholars have tried to determine what it could be depicting, or what it was meant to decipher, what kind of code had been involved with it. And of course it has quite a bit to do with alchemy, which brings me back to the subject of alchemy. But I just thought it was really quite telling that he used the Voynich manuscript in this particular book, because he often uses things in the everyday world, the actual world, the real world, that are items of passing, well, I wouldn't say passing curiosity. For me, it's more of the fascination with the unknown and the paranormal and supernatural and sometimes occult, that I tend to find myself delving into now and again. When you go down that rabbit hole, there's no coming back. Once you're awakened to it, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. But as I said before, with Aleister Crowley's Lesser Key, I'm going to be super duper careful with it and not do anything that's even written in the pages of that book, just because I don't want to know what I could do with it, to be honest. But anyways, as far as the book itself is concerned, I'd highly recommend it. If you've read the other books and you want to see how it ends or doesn't really end, it's a continuation. It's almost like we had our adventure, we had our fun, but still there are so many other adventures that John and his friends are probably going to be having. And I wonder if anybody's written any fan fictions, because I'm sure that they would go extremely well, because there's plenty here if I could write similarly. My style, I don't know how I would equivocate my style, because it's all my own, so I consider it unique. But anyway, that's all I have to say about Wrath of the Grinning Ghost. So until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, Titi.